Tushar, you're actually in New Delhi in India. So this is the, let's say, our virtual studio working together today. So tell me,
Right.
please, a bit about your background.
Thank you, Mika. It's my pleasure to be on the show today. And my background is I have done so much, failed in quite a lot, and succeeded in some. So basically, I'm an engineer. I'm an MBA finance from University of Delhi, and I did my executive education from Harvard Business School. Uh, in my 21-year-old experience, I have two phases. One is the corporate side, where I've handled private equity assignments at Deloitte and Touche, and I was part of the team at Brand Capital, which is Times of India Media Group's venture capital arm, where we invested almost $100 million across companies. I also headed the treasury at the Russian telecom company MTS, which is owned by Sistema, the London Stock Exchange listed company, and raised almost $2.5 billion for the company. And I was CFO with the Distribution Logistics. That's a company owned by Guggenheim Partners. But in my last 7 years, I have invested in four companies. I have been part of the management of two companies. And as of now, I sit on the board of two companies as well. And I have been primarily helping investors, helping startups to, this crazy equity world. I've, trying to somehow navigate it and help others navigate it. So this is what I do at
Yeah.
Consultancy Ventures.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, it's nice to hear your experience. I mean, both from the corporate side and then being an investor, working with the startup environment. And I think also that I mean, you I believe it's really exciting times in terms of being an entrepreneur, setting up your startup company. But of course, it's always this game of how do you get funding and financing? How do you get to the next milestone? So, and of course, in this pandemic regime, I mean, it's not easy to find the right ones or reach out. But what do you think startups? What type of startups are relevant or the hot ones in terms of getting funding and what investors are looking at?
So, the investors, they look at startups two ways. One is a top-down approach, one is a bottom-up approach. So, in top-down approach, they see that, these are the sectors which have successfully performed in these countries. They can be developed economies or they can be China. And then, just like Tiger Global entered India after they had successes in the US, and they said the same sectors which have been created in the US and China, why can't they be replicated in India? So it was a top down approach. And so they started finding out young college guns who are trying to create these startups in the new sectors. And they started backing them up with VC money. And the other thing is a bottom-up approach where there are founders who have successfully researched the sector, understood it, or maybe worked in the sector for 10 years, 15 years. They start out and then they say that we'll do it differently. So we have companies who were in very very traditional sectors like logistics, and they brought technology, turned it around, started building in new plans, new technology, and that's the bottom up approach. So what investors do is that in terms of capturing a particular market, they want to back those horses which come in the top three of a particular sector in the future, whether they'll have to create the sector or they have to get into a company at any kind of valuation, they will just do it. And
Yeah.
that's where the valuation game also lies. So I remember Alibaba had created Alipay in China, and in India the VCs were backing fintech companies in the hope of creating the next Alipay in India. And now they are all created. I mean, the top one, Paytm, has $15 billion valuation, and the others, Google Pay, Phone Pay, they are also big valuations. Multiple, they are already unicorns long time back.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I mean, it's about being that the top dog or top three in what you're
Top
doing, and of
three. Yeah,
course,
that's where the money lies.
yeah, and of course, I think I get that also. You said that let's say traditional sectors or industries and uh, heavy assets, etc. I mean, there's a lot of disruption ongoing now everywhere, really, and that's kind of the way to go. I believe then that you kind of have
So
to
if
have new thinking, innovative mindsets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Either you should be creating a new business category which hasn't existed till now, or you should be disrupting the way existing things work. So there is a pharma tech company which with whom I work very closely. They are using artificial intelligence, machine learning, facial recognition, and robotics in their stores. So essentially, what happens is in some time their competition won't be able to face up because they are not crunching their numbers. They don't know their customer as good as this company knows. They are not fast enough as this company is, and they don't have the hyperlocal knowledge as much as this company will have.
Yeah.
So, on all these parameters, it's about creating a new niche. It's
Hmm.
about doing things better than they have been done. And it's about believing something can be done, something new can be created in the future. So, that calls for a lot of conviction, that calls for a lot of faith and belief, and that calls for a lot of money as well, where VCs come in.
Yeah, I mean the power lies in data, and we're doing the same with the startup I'm heading right now, and of course, kind of understanding the user pattern, etc. That I think it's really relevant and important, and then act on it. What, but then turning to another aspect, I mean, what do you see? Let's say startup companies, the founders or co-founders, and the team around it. How important is that in terms of evaluating startups?
I can tell you some funny stories where people who were not from the tech background, they tried to create tech all by themselves. So,
Mm,
you'll end up paying the wrong price. You'll end up, using the wrong agencies, paying them more. You'll end up trying to learn the curve, which can be so very well shortened by having a tech co-founder.
yeah.
And if you are creating a tech-based company, then the core is tech, at the heart is tech, and that means your team should be tech. And if your team should be tech and the tech is in-house, then you have to have a tech co-founder. And
Yeah.
that is where having a very balanced team with the right marketing guys, the right product guys, the right tech guy, and also having the financial expertise to get the numbers in a good shape in front of the investors, all this becomes very important. I know of this company which has created a board of directors. It's a fintech company, so they knew that they have to align very closely with the banking sector here in India. So they
Hmm.
created a very professional board. So they brought the deputy governor of Reserve Bank of India, which is the central bank, and they brought vice chairman of India's largest government bank, and they created all this very nice board, which provides them an oversight and also gives them the depth about taking big decisions.
Yeah. 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 Interesting. And how do you see then? I mean, startups or might be also from the venture side. I mean, in your approach in terms for growing companies, should one have a, let's say, local or regional, let's say, market, or look in a global perspective?
So I'm very lucky in that sense because India is growing at 6 to 7% GDP growth,
Mhm.
and it's the only major economy apart from China, which is having more than 600 million youth, people with less than 30 years of age, and consuming big. And the problems with China. I mean, if you are in China, you have to have a local joint venture partner. You'll
Mhm.
have to surrender your intellectual property. You'll have, the internet is firewalled. So India is probably the only big consumer economy available our foreign direct investment laws are very liberal. Most of the sectors are totally open. So I'm very lucky that way that is sitting in this kind of an economy. Now, as regards to your question, now suppose we are creating a food tech company. So in India, typically because of the culture, there is a culture of families cooking at home, and most of the food is being cooked and consumed at home.
Yeah.
But this is not the same with Europe, US, UK, even Japanese, Southeast Asians. They all eat outside a lot.
Yeah.
So the trend is now catching up in India of eating out, and but still majorly the food is cooked at home only. So if a company, what I have seen with investors, my peer set is that they believe that India is a very tough market. We are very price conscious, we are very quality conscious, we are very service conscious.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of competition because there are so many entrepreneurs. So they believe that if a product market fit is achieved in India of a particular startup, then that product can very well sell across the globe. You can just plug and play across other geographies, sell the same product and service in other countries. So that's the way they look at India. And I believe that you'll have to tweak your product for the local culture, for the local habits, for the local taste. So I remember in India when McDonald's came, and so India used to have its own fast food chain called Nirula's, and
Hmm.
Nirula's used to give a lot of Indian taste food, lot of curries, lot of masalas, those a
Yeah.
lot of so Nirula's brought out the American taste. So nobody was buying. Sorry, McDonald's brought out the American taste. So nobody was buying McDonald's burgers.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
ultimately, they came out with the spice burger. Lot of spice, lot of.
Yeah. 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 All the flavors. All the flavors. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
But
then it's
that's a good point. I mean, first of all, I mean, thanks for, in a sense, also marketing India as a good, let's say, trial market. But you have to then have the right pricing, the right quality, the right service. But getting there, and probably as a startup, I mean, you go through these agile developments and MVPs, iterations, pivoting to find the right one. And then like you say that, okay, of course, try it out there, but it's a huge market in itself. But
right,
then when you go as any startup scaling up or globally, think about the cultural variations. And i
right,
i think it goes for so much. I mean, not just food, but I mean, uh, type of clothing, or I see that also in the B2B industrial, what we're doing, that of course we have to understand the various cultural mentalities,
right.
etc.
Right, right. So, we are living in a globalized way that way, all the city culture is, t-shirts, jeans, and, short hair, and burgers and cold coffee, and probably beer. And so, we are living in this American kind of world where, these things are common across cities. But, India has 30 languages, and
Yeah,
and the local cultures are the diversity is so much. In fact, one of the reasons why Indian CXOs do very well in the US and other places, because they are used to so much of diversity right from the time they're born.
absolutely.
And so that is one reason why they have good sensitivity towards people who are different from them.
Mm. No, I fully agree there. I mean, the diversity, and you need to have a lot of critical thought and thinking when you're trying to scale up something. So I also appreciate that very much. And it seems like in that sense that the Indian mentality is spot on.
Yeah,
And
it is spot
yeah,
on. And I, just to add one thing to your previous question about having a proper team, whichever team you might have the finance guys, operations guys, you might have, but the founder has to lead from the front.
Yeah.
And this is what I've seen. My peer venture capital guys, they are very averse to talking to consultants, advisors. They always say, show us the founder. And
Yeah.
this is both in terms of dealing with external parties like VC funds, but also from the point of view of leading your team within the company. So you have to lead from the front, and that is very crucial.
Yeah. Active leadership. Show the
Yeah.
purpose. And yeah. Thanks. Really, really good insights there.
Thank you. Thank you.
We get some music here. A short,
Yeah, I'll just cut it.
some commercial here.
Sorry, sorry.
No, no worries. No
Yeah,
worries.
sorry. Yeah.
But so, of course, we've been, I mean, globally living with the COVID-19 situation since last year. And I remember myself, my last travel was March 13, coming from US back to
March 2020, 13 March.
March 13th, 2020. That was my last travel.
Oh,
Yes. So
almost a year now.
yeah, but how do you see I mean, global economy and investing and finding startups or believing in startups can go global and scale up quickly? How is the pandemic affecting this? Or any advice
See,
relating to
you
this?
look at the dot-com boom and bust of 99, then you look at the Lehman crisis of 2008, then you look at the COVID crisis of 2020. The common thread is the march of technology.
Yeah,
Those who didn't adopt technology, they fell by the wayside.
yeah,
And I got schooled from a convent school which is very, very conservative. And my kids are also getting schooled from a convent school, and they never believed in having online classes, and they are forced to adopt online classes. So so what I'm trying to say here is that if you don't adopt technology, the world won't care for you. I
no,
mean, end of the day, people want stuff faster. They want it, the precise stuff they want. They want it at a good price, and they want it at home. And services they want efficiently delivered. And all this is spoiling for choice, and spoiling the customer is the main thing which is happening with the use of technology. And the smartphone, the smartphone is so sticky. I mean, the one reason why Apple trades at $2 trillion valuation is the stickiness of the smartphone.
mm,
So it has become our second home. And earlier I used to feel that why can't a person call me on office landline? And now everybody calls me on mobile, so I have to
yeah.
take the calls.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, but that's great points, and I've used that, Tushar, because I mean, adopt with technology and any, let's say, I mean, it's an opportunity to also come up with disruptive new solutions in any time. So I think that's a important message, and of course, building those new habits, the stickiness. I mean,
The stickiness.
yeah, that is crucial.
Even the apps which give a solution for too much of technology are on the smartphone. Look
Yeah.
at the app the Calm, which gives you soothing music, or any meditation related apps. They are all on the smartphone. So end of the day, this smartphone is your next home. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's everywhere. Everything is there. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. It's not going away. It's
yeah.
soon we'll have it as an incorporated wearable or so, or part of us. Yeah, who knows? Who knows? And into our brains. Uh,
Right.
no, that's great to hear. I mean, then let's see. I mean, the vaccination programs, etc., are starting to roll out, and some are ahead of others, and maybe there's some more, let's say, optimism and or also seeing a reality. Second half year might again see that, let's say, a new phase, how we can start to travel more and interact face to face. Probably also still having much more online meetings, virtual meetings than, let's say, just a year ago. But if
Mhm.
you would, from your perspective, Tushar, wish for one thing to happen this year, I mean, is it anything that comes to your mind? what would you?
I want to show to my kids that there are mountains which are more beautiful than this room we are sitting in, you know. So I want to, I spent my childhood in the mountains, and there is no sound at night, and that particular thing is so surreal, and when you become so used to living in the city, you just forget that you are a part of nature, you are a part of environment, you are a product of the nature, and that is where, when you live there, you make your children see that this river, this mountain, this beauty, this is life. And there is so much beyond meeting, so much beyond so much talk and so much of news and so much of so I just want to take them to 2 or 3 trips as soon as possible. Beach, mountain, I'm already sending my son on an adventure trip. And I just myself want to just relax with a beer in hand and sitting in
You know how it is. I love it. I love it because I think that's kind of wrapping this up so nicely, because we talked about business, technology, and the intensity. I mean, living in, well, in our world today, most of the people living in an urban society or part of the society, but don't forget our link to nature. And
don't forget our roots. We we are basically product of the environment, and so and that's what keeps us connected. Keeps us happy, and so I share that with you. You look like a person with a very beautiful aura. Very genuine smile. So I share my that belief in positivity and faith and peace with you.
yeah, thank you for that, Tushar. And you know, you have great insights, profound knowledge, and joy of life too. And
Thank you. Thank you.
it's been a pleasure having you on board
It's
the
my
podcast
pleasure.
show. Thank you very
Ha-
much.
Thank you. Have a good day. God bless you. Thank you so much.